2024 polling was the most accurate in years, but still underestimated Trump across the board. According to an analysis by 538, the average poll in the last 3 weeks of the campaign was off by only 2.94 percentage points from the actual election margin. The accuracy improved even further in the 7 main swing states, excluding Arizona, where significant votes remain uncounted, where polls missed the mark by just 2.2 points. This gap is defined by 538 as statistical error, which assesses how far the polls deviated in each state, irrespective of whether they consistently overestimated one candidate's support over another. By comparison, state-level polls in 2016 and 2020 had an average error close to 4.7 percentage points. Even in 2012, which stands out as a good year for both polling and election forecasting, the polls missed election outcomes by 3.2 percentage points. That all having been said, the polls still had a relatively bad year in terms of statistical bias, which measures whether polls are missing the outcome in the same direction. According to 538's analysis, state polls overestimated support for Harris by an average of 2.7 points in the margin within competitive states. This bias is less severe than in 2016 and 2020, where polls underestimated Trump by 3.2 and 4.1 points, respectively, but it is higher than in the previous 4 election cycles. This persistent bias indicates that despite efforts to correct for the previous undersampling of Trump supporters, pollsters have not fully resolved the issue. The recurring inaccuracies become particularly evident when examining the patterns across individual states from one election cycle to another. For example, polling errors in states like Florida, Iowa, and Ohio remained some of the most pronounced this cycle, highlighting ongoing challenges in capturing the full spectrum of voter intentions in these states. Let's take a look here at this 2024 electoral map based on the final polling averages as per 538, headed into election night. There were 22 states in which not enough polls were completed to have created an average, and those are shaded in a dark gray. The other 28 are shaded in based on the final polling margin. The deepest shade of blue or red indicates Trump or Harris were favored by more than 10 points. Then the second darkest indicates a 6 to 10 point edge, whereas the second lightest covers the 2 to 6 point range, and then the lightest shade from 0 to 3. Among these states, Kamala Harris was favored to win 203 electoral votes and Donald Trump 178. However, looking at the map updated with the actual results, as of this recording, many states show a shift towards Trump not fully captured by the polls. Notably, the WIMPA states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, initially tilting Democratic based on the final polling margins, flip towards Trump, ranging from tilt to lean in his favor. That flips the electoral count to favor Trump at 222 to 159 among these states. One interesting development here is that the final 2024 electoral map looks very, very similar to a map in one of my videos from a few weeks back that adjusted the polls for previous poll error in every state. I created this spreadsheet that averaged out the polling error of the last 4 cycles and then applied that bias to the latest poll average in every race. And here is the resulting map. Trump 306, Harris 232, with the only miss being Nevada. So if you had approached forecasting this cycle as simply, let's take the polls and then skew them a few points in Trump's favor, you'd have been more accurate than most pundits or forecasters out there. This Trump underestimation is why my own predictions tended to move away from the polls, taking on a more broader scope of data, which ultimately allowed me to come within just one state of a perfect map in my final prediction. Going forward, of course, we don't know whether future Republican candidates beyond just Trump will carry the same consistent overperformance with them, but it is something worth noting as we approach predictions come 2028 and beyond. That does it for today's video, though. Feel free to suggest down in the comment section any other videos or topics you'd like to see in the future. Shout out to my channel members in the description below. Make sure to subscribe to my channel down below, and please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. You can check out more content from my channel here, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. EP out.